Ooh, diamond speaker boo. Ooh, I done fucked the crew. Ooh, I done did the robbing. I done did the jacking. Now I'm full rapping. I put on my brothers. I put on my bitch. Had to wear the dress, cause I had a stick. You know where the bag at? Tell me where it is. I came from rats, the riches on the shit. I can no longer disguise a bitch, cause I'm rich.
I'm curious to know, especially Desmond, like understand like how, growing up in both parents, like what type of struggles that you had. Like I know some people had like fear of like like pressure because of their like seeing like their parents like that. They got to live up to that expectation. Just kind of give some insight around that.
I think more so it's like you want to figure it out.
Yeah.
And I think for me being the youngest and always was in the observatory mode, I've always wanted to do more quicker.
Yeah.
And so it's like I saw my sisters driving, I wanted to drive. I saw my sisters going to college, I wanted to be in college. And so I never really appreciated like the now. So no matter where I'm at, I always like, okay, what am I gonna do next? And it's like a good thing to kind of have like that direction of like, oh, okay, like, okay, I put on 15 pounds now, okay, now I want to get lean. Okay, it's good to goal set, right? But sometimes you forget to smell the roses right now.
Exactly.
And so that's been something I've always struggled with though. It's never like the now, it's always what's next. So that's been probably the most difficult thing for me. I would say probably my upbringing at surface was probably that was probably like that toughest thing of like being the only boy, like being the only son. I had like, different things I was, asked to do. I was a little bit more lenient in how I was parented. So that kind of led to some other things as well. Yeah, man, that's probably like the 1-2 of my struggle, quote unquote.
Yeah.
It's definitely a lot of pressure. My mom, she put a lot of pressure on me at an early age, so I had to kind of grow up fast in a way, and I wanted to set the example for my younger brothers. Something she used to always tell me, I'm gonna make sure you know how to do everything. That way you don't have to ever depend on nobody. And I didn't understand it at first, but now that I'm older, I kind of understand why she was so hard on me. I joke with her all the time and tell her, hey, you was a lot harder on me than my brothers.
Yeah.
But she wanted me to set that example. Like you said before, we were first college graduates within our family. So it was a lot of pressure, man. It was rough. So
Exactly. And like speaking of pressure, like we have pressure now. You know what I'm saying? Like it's hard because it's like, we in a great place. I thank God for that and everything. But it's tough because I'm still dealing with like things that I went through in my, growing up. Like for example, BG, like I had to worry about things like, making sure my mom was straight, like bills was paid. Like, sometimes she'd say like, I don't know how this bill can get paid. And like think about that from like a, 16-year-old, like that stress and like that worriness, it affects you long term. And that's why like I posted that tweet recently about like having that fear of like being broke. You know what I'm saying? Because I can be straight, but I still gonna have that fear because it's gonna be there, and that's how I grew up. So that's a big thing for me. And it's like watching my mom like really working hard to like provide, and she did. She damn sure did everything she possibly can to make sure we were straight. And like,
Yeah, I think that, and I think I do a better job of this because of how I grew up. But money isn't everything.
Yeah.
And I feel like we have this idea when we see things on social media, or we're seeing, people that we're interacting with, or we're comparing ourselves to, Tom or Harry. It's like, I'm not doing what they're doing. So like, I'm not satisfied. And for me, it's like we all got our own race, man. Like we all got our own journey. And what's meant for him over here, like that's his story, right? And there's this quote that I came up that, there's no right and wrong and purpose, right? You have yours and I'll have mine. And so I think that that's something that, you kind of moving forward with, like whatever it is that like moves and drives you. That could be $40,000 a year, that could be $200,000 a year, right? But the comparison between the two is you're doing whatever moves you. And I think that if people were to maybe try and do a better job of understanding like who they are and what it is that they're actually trying to do, and less so about everything else that's around them, it can kind of help alleviate some of that stress that you're kind of putting on yourself.
Exactly.
You know, to, you know, want to be successful, want to be this. Like, this company could, you know, never eclipse to make it so I'm doing it full time, right? But if I'm doing it and I'm happy and I'm doing the work that I'm setting out to do, I'm connecting the dots I'm setting out to connect. That could be 150 a year, that could be 50 a year, that could be 30 a year, whatever it is. I'm doing something that's joyous for me, right?
Yeah.
So who are you to sit here and tell me that, like, something's not how it's supposed to be?
Yeah, that's real.
So I think that's something that, like, I think could be helpful for the traumas, not to discredit them, but like, you're where you're supposed to be, you're running the race you're supposed to be running, and, like, don't get caught up in everything else.
So I was reading this book recently, Napoleon Hill, Outwitting the Devil.
Yeah.
And he speaks, he said, he trusts his inner self. He said, whatever his inner self tell him, he goes. He said, like, even if he don't have the funds, he just do it, figure it out,
Yeah.
and it all works out.
Yeah,
It always works out, 100%.
We always trip on, like, well, what about this and what about that?
Yeah.
And it's like, sometimes you just got to do it.
You just
know
gotta
what I'm
do
saying?
it.
And if it doesn't work out, okay, it doesn't work out. I was always told that, like, you can do whatever it is that you want to do in life.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? And it's like having that confidence and being able to believe that at an early age, I think has been why I am where I am now. Like, at the companies I'm working at, starting some of the things that I'm starting, being able to kind of navigate in these spaces, is being able to believe in who I am as a person and realize that, like, I'm enough, I'm worthy, like, I'm powerful, like, you know, all these different adjectives that you want to describe. Like, I'm here, right? And it's like, it's not an arrogance. It's like I deserve to be here.
Yeah,
you know what I'm
I
saying?
agree.
And if you don't believe it, like, now it's on me to show you.
So Des, what's your perspective?
And just to elaborate off of what you were saying, I am guilty for sometimes not taking that shot. Sometimes I want to have a solid plan before I take that shot.
Yeah.
You know, and that's something I've struggled with.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's based off of if it came from experiences. I know a lot of times my mom, she stayed on me about having a solid plan before taking action. So that's something that I'm still working on, because I don't think, if I recall, no one in my family took risks. You know, sometimes you have to take risks.
Yeah.
And like I tell Jeff, it's all favor. Ever since we was younger, I feel like we had favor.
Yeah.
So just keeping our faith in God, continue to take risks. That's something, like I said, I'm working on. But I am guilty for not shooting that shot sometimes.
One of my homies always said, like, cause BJ, I'm that type. We the same. I'm the same way. Like, I'll get in the car and just hit the gas and I don't even check. Like, you know, I just take that confidence that I have and that hustle mentality, and I just make it happen.
Yeah.
And if I fail on the way, like,
You learn
you know,
something.
I'll learn.
Yeah.
That's the thing. The sooner you fail is the sooner you learn. I can literally have like I can literally be having like all these plans, all these ideas, right?
Yeah.
But a person who just steady like planning and trying to make sure it's perfect and doing all that stuff like that, the sooner I hit the gas and like I figure out from a high level, you know, figure out what I want to do. As long as I make that move, and if I fail, I'm learning quicker than that person who just like sitting back.
It's gonna work out, yo.
It's gonna work out.
Yeah.
You just gotta shoot.
Yeah.
Just gotta shoot.
So how do you think, what traumas do you think are affecting you now?
I think the traumas that really affected me is like, it's kind of like two, to be honest. Like, I think I put a lot of pressure on myself because, one, like, you know, all the things that I'm doing, like, you know, pretty good job on the nonprofit space and the entrepreneurship stuff that I'm doing, the pressure washing business, and working on another business with my dad. And I think what really affected me is the pressure. Like, all this stuff is new for me. You know, like everything, like I've been the first in my family to really go out and take that next step, travel the world and like really living on the other side of the states and really make things happen. And sometimes it's hard for me to reach back and like ask questions because who can answer the questions for me? So that's why I reach out to mentors and like people that really doing something and like, you know, that I see that I can be in the future, right? So like, it's tough. It's like, you know, like my mom never graduated from college. My dad never graduated from college. Like, they lived in Georgetown, a small town, all their life. So it's like, it's hard sometimes to really build that connection back at home. So that's why I feel like I put a lot of pressure on myself to have these dialogues, to put this conversation out there, so that they can really see and understand like what what really be going on.
Do you feel, and this is just something from an observation standpoint, do you feel like you use your shortcomings or your background as a crutch?
Not really. I don't think so, because I use it as fuel to like motivate me and like continue to work hard.
But the fact that your parents didn't graduate, the fact that they're not doing this, the fact that they're not doing that, how does that impact someone that doesn't apply to? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like you did graduate from college. You are working at a Fortune 100 company.
Yeah.
You are above the household median income.
Yeah.
You are traveling the world. You do have beautiful people around you, both significant others and friends and what have you. It's like those issues don't affect you because they're not your reality.
Yeah.
They were their reality, and I feel like sometimes we have a victim-like mentality where we use those things that could then hurt us, but like they're not even things we have to worry about. You know what I mean? Like, what are you pressured for? You running business plans at Microsoft and running supply chain there. No different than you would be doing supply chain if you were to be doing anything else. There's operations, there's strategy, there's business cases, there's incoming, outgoings. Like, you're doing what you do. So the pressure is like self-inflicted.
It is. It is. It's a good point, honestly.
Don't use your past as a weight, because all it's gonna do is continue to like pull you down. Like it's like you're doing pull-ups, but you got that 45 on your waistline. You're trying to pull yourself up. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Let that shit go so you can rise, and you'll get stronger and stronger. And now you'll be able to do it easier and easier. But if you keep that weight on you, you're just gonna keep coming back in. Oh, I'm from the hood. Oh, I'm from the hood. Oh, I had this issue. I had this issue. It's like those are no longer your problems. Yeah. And your parents' problems aren't your problems. As difficult as that may be to say.
Yeah.
Like,
It's very.
their problems aren't your problems. You can help out. You can be the son. Hey, if mom needs something, like again, I don't know what that reality is like, so I don't mean to step on it. But I'm saying is like also at the same time, that's their bed, and you can help make theirs when you can. But it's on you to live your life.
My significant other, she said the same thing too.
Yeah.
You know, my parents' reality is not my reality.
Right.
And it's hard. It's easy said and done, obviously.
Of course.
But you know, when you grew up in that environment and you saw how much they struggle, the sacrifices they made.
You feel that.
Going to bed hungry just so me and my brothers can eat. You know what I'm saying? Those type of situations and seeing that, it's like, man, I owe them. You know what I'm saying? I owe them the world. So in the back of my head, it's like, I have to get it. I have to get it. I have to get it. I have to make sure my family's straight, like you said. I need to put my family in a position to win. That way they can get out of their situation.
Yeah.
And like
but you got to be right before you can do that.
Right. Exactly. Can
so
pour out
that's
an
a
empty
great
cup.
point, and I'm glad he mentioned it.
Yeah.
Because that's something I can continue to work on going forward.
Yeah.
But I really do appreciate that, man.
And exactly, and it's the purpose of the conversation, because I want your perspective. I want to see how you think, because your situation. That's how you become self-aware of who you really are as a person. Yeah. We talk about like the season of singleness, understanding who you really are. Like learn yourself, and so that's why. And my girlfriend helped me out a lot on this too, like unwinding those habits. Yeah. And what you just said, like she said the same thing. Like, you gotta really like break that, like thoughts that you have in your head. Like, so great point, BG, because like I really in a place where like I'm very confident in myself. I'm very confident in my skill sets. I feel like I can outwork anybody. I feel like I can outwork anybody, point blank, period. But I can't continue to be that way. But if I'm thinking like about like my parents or people behind me, and like because that's gonna weigh me down. Yeah. And so like other than that, like I feel like once I continue to like break the cycle, and like granted that's why I said it's like adversity, because it's not gonna go away overnight. But so I gotta feel comfortable with like breaking that and putting in the work. Yeah, for sure.